Yeah.
There it is. Yeah. Last year, right? That's last year's buck.
Well, I killed that buck, which was just shy of 160 inches, and I killed another buck at 160 inches off the same farm. So two 160s. So that was kind of that's not the norm. That was kind of dream season. Those two really good bucks, and that was on a farm that we had through my buddy, his family, and we didn't really start hunting it until like 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. We put some cameras on it, just kind of seeing what was going on. And the first year we did it, like 4 years ago, we got some bucks, but it wasn't anything that I was so excited about. And maybe it's just because we didn't have the cameras quite dialed into the right locations. And then the second year, we were starting to see some better deer on cameras once we got things moved around and started figuring out. It was a couple hundred acres, but we spent the majority of the time working around these two crop fields that kind of pushed into the interior timber of this property, and there was some water on it too. I mean, it had everything you would hope for on a property. So like 2 years in, just kind of prospecting, moving cameras, trying to figure things out. I think my buddy missed a buck there on the second year, like 150 class buck with a rifle. Kind of caught him off guard, and but come the third year, we actually spent even more time because we're starting to realize the potential of the property. So we did put in a little bit of food plot. We put in some more comfortable like observation stands, and we had a couple shacks that we could sit in and watch things. And the third year, I ended up shooting a buck, like 100 and upper 40s, pushing 150. Really nice, heavy, mature deer that we knew about the year prior. And I killed that on the third year. I watched him kind of do the same thing around this standing cornfield a couple times on a ridge. I seen him twice, and then on the third time, obviously I moved over there with the lone wolf and put an arrow through him. And then from that, we'd seen this buck, that tall one, that wide one that you just showed the year before. I'd seen him, and then I thought he got killed because he just disappeared off camera. Like it was maybe mid-October, and he was one of those deer that I think, he rutted somewhere else. So he was there August, September, October, and then come the rut, he would go somewhere else. And
Josh, you knew this just from past experience in camera data, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I figure, he disappeared. I mean, he could have been there, but I doubt it. We run enough cameras that we would probably catch him on one of these, strategic locations, whether it be food or water or, inside corners, things like that. Logging roads are really good. So he just kind of disappeared. And then now we're into this last year, 2021, and we put out our cameras again. And then boom, August, he pops in the camera, and now he's looking like he went from probably 140 inches, nice buck, to now he's pushing 160, a really nice buck. So now we're all in, like this is a deer that we're really going to actively hunt. And we kind of got some ideas from the years past of where he was going to show up. So now we move our cell cameras into these strategic areas that we don't want to particularly put our boots on the ground in. We've already scouted it. We've walked it for sheds. We understand the topographical features that are going to move the deer around this property. There's a big ridge that runs east and west on it. And so we put these cameras in, we start monitoring them, and I'm watching these pictures come in. And then he got really active in October in and around this one interior standing cornfield. Like he's popping on a camera over here right before dark. He's over on this camera, and there's a old logging road that runs through there. And we kind of knew he was probably traversing on that logging road. So we used that to kind of move in and place a stand, and then just wait for the right wind and that cool down temp in late October. And my buddy actually had already shot his big buck. His was in the 160s too. He had already tagged out like middle of October, out in western Wisconsin. And we were in Arcadia, which is much farther west than this property. And I told him, based that, that deer popped on the cell cameras, I'm like, I got to go. I got to drive. I got to drive like an hour and 15 minutes, and I got to be on this other farm to hunt tonight. And he was like, go for it, you know? So he stayed back towards Arcadia, and I got over there, and I got up in the stand, you know, in the area that we had planned for. And I think I shot him. I mean, like you talk about like an hour and 15 minutes to drive from Arcadia to where I was, and then maybe another hour of slow prep to get in there. And then it set up, and I shot him within 30 minutes. So, I mean, that's just like, it doesn't always work that way, but sometimes when you run enough cameras and you get some intel from year to year, you just kind of know how these bucks are going to use. And the other thing, like I'm hunting, and I've done another podcast on the hunting beast, or people can search that back on YouTube, is like we're really keen in on how these big bucks are kind of using their nose to check these areas, you know, come late October. Big deer, they're not going down those hog trails that you see the does and the immature bucks walking on. A lot of times they're using their nose and the topography to scent check those key areas. And we're really keen in those topographical features. Number one, to put our wind in a way that the bucks can't smell us. And then number two, you know, hoping that the bucks, it's going to push them close enough for the kill. And there's a lot of discussion on the beast about that. If you want to look into like leeward side and search some of that information, I mean, it's not something you're going to understand right away, but the more time you spend and the more milkweed you throw, eventually it'll come together for you. And I throw a lot of milkweed.
Don't we all? Oh, man, the butterfly population would be a lot better off if we didn't have a bunch of beast hunters. But
if I actually
spreading it all over the place.
Yeah,
yeah, that's true.
The pond behind my house, there's a huge milkweed population right on the pond behind my house. So I spread it out.
Nice. I don't know. I hoard a whole bunch of it. I probably got hard telling me bags in my little shop in there.